one of the issues with kids at level 3 and 4 is they're probably going to achieve almost despite us. One of the things that we do too often is we use this word of extension, which means pushing them sideways. That's not a very good strategy. Like, one of the things that intrigues me from all the visible learning work is the program that is the most effective. If you're going to make a probability statement, the most effective is acceleration. And that's true with kids at level 3 and 4 and kids at level 1 and 2. How come I don't see it? How come I get all these arguments about, oh, it's unfair for their social development? Now, there's no evidence for that at all. In fact, there's evidence is the opposite. That if you don't challenge kids, they're more likely to turn off schooling than when you challenge them. And so I absolutely want to find ways of challenging all those students. I want to ask the question, not, have you got attainment? That's excellent, I want that. But I want that extra question. Now, what is the target that we're aiming for that student? Is it sufficient enough? And how can we help that student achieve that higher target? Now, that mitigates against a lot of the things we do to kids, where we put them in year groups, we want them to be together. We have this notion that you can't get too far ahead, or else I'll lose somehow control of what I'm trying to do with you. We have to break down those myths and find ways in which we can expand every kid right across the distribution in terms of that growth beyond where they start. Like, I once worked in a university where we had 300 applicants for every place. It's the 20th richest university in the world. As the dean there, one of my arguments to my staff was, if you do nothing, they're probably going to succeed. And unfortunately, that's what happens too often with our level 3 and 4 kids. We think they're doing a great job, they are doing a great job, and we think that's enough. I really want to set a higher set of challenges for those students and those teachers. A month into the school year, we asked the teachers to do an assessment of the students, and then we asked them to make a prediction. Where do you think the student's going to end up at the end of the year? And then we feed that back to the teachers. Now, some of the teachers refuse to look at it. They take the line that I'm not responsible for targets. If kids don't do their work, don't do their homework, don't come to class prepared, and that therefore they won't reach their attainment. Now, that simple exercise of doing an assessment, asking the teachers where they're going to end up, and then say to the teachers, we've done a projection. We've looked back over the last 5 years for these kids, and we've done a progression, we've done a polynomial regression, and we've said, if you keep teaching as you teach, and kids keep learning as they learn, this is where they'll end up at the end of the year. How does it match with what you did, your prediction? And then can you do better? That exercise alone, we can get a 0.7, 0.8 effect size growth just by doing that. And what that's saying is, all we're doing is before the problem happens, before the issue happens, we are modifying the teacher's expectations. Like, if I know anything in this business, if you have low expectations, you'll be incredibly successful. One of the things we also found when Christine Ruby did this work is when you go in and you ask the teachers a month in how the kids are going to end up at the end of the year, if they set targets that are below where the kids are at, they'll be successful. How do you get in front of this problem? How do you get reasonable expectations? Now, one of the things we won't do is we don't ask the kids to set the expectations. Too many kids are overconfident, they set unbelievable expectations, they don't reach them, they're disappointed. It is about the teachers' expectations. It's about their notion of what progress is. It's the notion of what these kids can achieve. And so I think that notion of how you do that target setting up front is a very powerful way for all kids to get the benefit from what teachers, how they think about what their challenge is. The easiest way is skip a grade. Take a year 3 kid, put them up to year 5. That's not the only way of doing acceleration. Like, you can telescope the curricula and teach in a shorter time. You can, like, for instance, take kids who are struggling. The last thing they need is more opportunity to do the things they're struggling on.